Hi everyone, my name is Bongi Mbayeka Umanyawuza, and this is my story in my words.
Hi Bongs, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
I am good, thank you. Firstly, thank you very much for allowing us into your space and also essentially allowing the podcast to share your story within the sporting world. Bongs, let's jump straight into the thick of things, you know. I know you're very into your sport, you love your sport, and I'm deliberately saying sport and not picking on one specific sporting code because I feel zonke man uyangena kuzo zonke.
No, absolutely. And that's why netball, rugby, cricket, soccer, swimming, I just enjoy watching. So it's not merely about me participating, but just watching and being involved with all those sports. So I find them absolutely amazing, yes.
Bongs, when you look back into ukhula kwakho, what early memories do you have of sport?
For me, it started literally with netball and athletics when I was in grade 1. And this was now when I was still studying in East London. So fortunately, parents were in the rural Eastern Cape, and then they decided, you know what, let's just send our kids to where the schools are good. Got to a school that offered a variety of sports, but the ones that, grabbed me or caught my attention was the netball and the athletics. So ever since, I've just been involved in all the sports, like growing up. But of course, netball is my number one love.
Netball. I want to ask you a question then, about what then draws you to sport? Because I hear you, your parents sent you to East London, and school at that time had sports where kids could always interact with some sporting extramural. And I know a lot of schools still had a thing of one winter sport and one summer sport each child. But for you in particular, you mentioned quite a lot of sports, but what drew you to stay within sports?
For me, sports it's when you're a student, whether you are in primary school, high school, varsity, because all those 3 divisions, I was involved in sport throughout. The books can sometimes get too much, and you need that time to distress. You need that time to get together with your friends on another platform. And for me, sport is just a nice way to unwind, to relax, to find myself, to build myself. It's just something that I really enjoy, and it doesn't feel like a chore. That's the other thing. It doesn't feel, I've never been forced to say, go outside and play. I was always that child like, listen, if there's a ball, let's kick it, let's throw it, let's do all those things. So I think that's why I just enjoyed sport all the way throughout.
Sure. You mentioned sport and it feeling natural and not being a chore. Do you then find yourself, when you look back more, we are going to do a lot of looking back. Throughout this episode, but when you look back and you try and have a look at your own family and the environment that you grew in, do you see any influences, any people that could have influenced you getting into sport?
Weirdly enough, not even, because in my family it's just, I had an uncle who played soccer, but then he stopped at a very young age, so he didn't really take it further. Of course, opportunities for them at those times were not really ripe. And then looking at my cousins, like my peers, my siblings, there's absolutely no one. I'm like the sports person in the family. Everyone knows that she's that girl, whatever sport, she's there. So it's not necessarily a matter of I was influenced or I looked at someone very close to me, but like growing up, I used to watch the Olympics. You would see Penny Haynes killing it in the pool. You'd watch athletics and see all those ladies, whether they were here or, like for instance, America there's a lot of nice ladies that run, and you look at them and you're thinking, look at these ladies.
That's right.
They were little girls like me, so why can't I look at them and think that, that one day that's going to be me? So for me, it's not someone in my family, but it's everyone that I've seen on TV, literally. Because also with netball specifically, we didn't grow up having a platform whereby you could just switch on the TV and there's a netball game. It's only now that I was even in varsity whereby netball started getting a bit into the television. We knew everything about our favorite stars, and we had now people that could look at and be like, one day I'm aspiring to be like that person. So yeah.
I think you touch on something that's quite, I want to dig into it. And it's in netball not being that sporting code that was very prevalent on TV. You weren't going to switch on a TV and see
Yeah.
in netball. You weren't going to buy a newspaper and see an article about netball. And I want to ask you, because netball is the sport that you continue to play till this day. But for you, and it's only recently where it's starting to pick up a lot of media attention, but what attracted you to stay within that specific sporting code for so long?
Love and passion. I know it sounds cliche, but that's absolutely love and passion. I've always considered myself a volunteer of netball. And my mom, my dad, they would, all the way from Eastern Cape, because I've been in Cape Town now 15 years, and they know that as much as I was studying, graduated and did all those things, they always knew if they call me, they're hearing whistles in the background. They're like, oh, you was a ballet. I'm like, yeah, as usual. Where else would I be? So for me, I think it was just the love and passion that's made me stay with the sport. Now I'm reaping the rewards in the sense that I do netball umpiring. You get gigs whereby a school will call you or a team will call you and say, listen, we're going to offer you payment, please come through and umpire. It's only now whereby I'm coaching at an institution, CPUT, and I've got a signed contract. I'm getting paid for it. Whereas in the past few years, I was volunteering, whatever coaching, whatever involvement I was doing, it was purely for the fact that I love netball. So I'm really happy with where things are going and where things are at the moment.
Yeah. I like the fact that you say it's only now that you're reaping the rewards of your journey till now. And we're going to go back into that a little bit later, but I want to move back, and we're still in that retrospective vibe of just having a look at the journey of Bongi till the date.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Nyangi, as we said, the part of he reaping the rewards now.
Yeah.
When you look back, what are some of the challenges that Bongi has overcome to get to a point where she can say she's reaping the rewards?
So with my involvement in netball, as I've said, for me it's just always been about love and passion. But when I got to Cape Town, I was a student. You don't have a car. Sometimes they'll tell you a match is so and so. You need to find your way there. So such things, having to see if some of your teammates do have cars, if their parents are maybe gonna offer you lifts and stuff like that. So it's just those little big things. Because I want to say little, because to some people it may seem like, whatever. Yeah. But to us it may seem like a big thing. Things like whereby you'd be selected to represent the province, you're going on tour, and now they send you this bill of how much it is, And but it's not cheap. And then fortunately for us, you'll find that our institution like CPUT will say, no, we'll cover this for you. But your teammate who doesn't go to CPUT doesn't have that luxury of such things. So there's just a lot that we've had to overcome in terms of also, we were not all exposed in our high schools, in our upbringings to certain things. Some people, had better opportunities. Simple things like, I don't think with me I've really suffered, and I don't know if that's the appropriate word to use, but like I've always been surrounded. As I said, it's a team sport, so whatever affects my teammate also affects me. Yeah. If my parents are able to buy me a nice pair of netball shoes, whereas my teammate is coming to practice in All Stars, which I know, which we all know they're not made for, do you understand? Yeah. So I'm that person that will take other people's struggles and then they become my own in that way. So my journey, I'm not gonna lie, it hasn't been hard at all in terms of I got everything that I needed to have, but it's just that I always want to make sure that everyone in the team is on the same ground.
I want to ask you now, you mentioned in Dubai you literally take on other people's struggles and you feel for your teammates and people that you interact with within the sporting industry. How has that influenced the coach that you are today?
So even outside of coaching, I'm going to come back to the coaching part, with this thing of wanting to be a helper, which is something I enjoy so much. It's the rewards of that, because currently I am serving on the Cape Town Netball Federation executive, and my portfolio is representative of the players. So I'm chairperson of the Players Commission. So all the players under Cape Town Netball Federation, basically, whatever problems they have, they come to me. Whatever suggestions they have, they come to me. Whatever issues they're dealing with, they come to me. So this is a position whereby you get elected or nominated, let me put it that way. You get nominated. If you accept the nomination, obviously you get voted in. So for me, I see it as though people saw something in me. They saw how I've been carrying myself and what I've been doing all these years in terms of netball, and they saw it fit that, this is the person we want in the forefront for our players. So that's that part. And then now in terms of coaching, for me it's absolutely amazing, because with my coaching, I started coaching high school. I was coaching high school first team. I had my girls here in Cape Town, and then from high school it moved on to varsity. So now as I'm moving up, I also think in terms of my coaching, I'm gaining that experience. I'm not the same person I was when I started coaching like in 2018. So it's just been a positive road, if I may put it. It's just been a positive journey to get to where I am today, and it makes me want better for my team, because wherever I can help, they know that, listen, coach, if I don't have money to come to practice, if this is happening, your coach is there for you. I'm not just there to say, run, sweat, are you okay? Okay, I'm good, I'm gone. Like, I go over and above, and that's what makes the team united as it is.
You now elaborate more on your involvement nowadays within netball, but I want us to just quickly touch on your sporting career in school. Do you believe in Dokbana, because there's this model within the sports industry that's quite familiar, everybody's quite familiar with, of a long-term involvement is basically based on a person's involvement in sports for continued time is based on them having pleasant experiences within sport at a young age. Do you believe in that model? Do you believe in that, such a theory?
I would say yes. Because personally for me, with regards to my sports, I've always had, as you said, pleasant journeys. I think that's also what kept me in it until I was a bigger child, if there's such English. Until, I grew up in sport. But like, the fact that when I was still small, it was just something that I enjoyed. There were no incidents that put me off. I do believe in that model. Especially, I've worked with kids. I've worked with kids in sports. I've worked with kids whereby they were in this team with this person, but now because they're in my team, I've changed their perspective. This child was struggling to come to practices. They were withdrawn. They didn't want to come because of maybe a certain individual. But because now they've met someone else, it's a different approach. Things now are nice. This student is looking forward to coming to practice and all those things. And it's especially nice when a parent comes to you just to say, listen, my child last year was not this person, but since you've taken over the team, I'm seeing this difference, I'm seeing this. So it's absolutely amazing. So I really do believe in that model.
I want to touch on the element of the parents. I'm not going to let it slide, Lee, of the parents, because it's really, as a sports coach, that's literally one of the best feelings that you get. Because especially when you're dealing with young kids, to have a parent come up to you and say, coach, I'm seeing improvements in just how my child interacts with, not even with sport, but general life.
Yes.
How my child is now such a more positive person, a person who's pleasant to be around. Firstly, I want you to share some of the messages, or like just summarize some of the messages that you've gotten from parents that have actually warmed your heart.
I think the one that's going to stand out the most, my last year of coaching high school was 2018. 2018, that was my last year. I was coaching a first team, Jan van Riebeek in Clove Street. So one of the dads, he's a netball dad. Like you'll see the mom here and there in matches, but the dad, without fail, he's there. So his girl was my first team shooter, and you work with these girls, you build their confidence, because whatever you do on court, well, I know whatever I do on court, they can use it outside of netball, they can use it in the classroom, they can use it once they get to varsity. So the way that he was so grateful with everything, I remember I had a national tour that year. We were going to Joburg, and he paid half of my netball tour. And netball tours can be like 7,000, 8,000 rand, and he paid for that. Because we had that kind of relationship. Like, he could see the work that I'm doing, not only for his daughter, but for the team as a whole, and also just for his daughter's confidence. So it's just one of those things I think are just priceless.
Bongs, and when we bring it to today and this day and age that we're in now, this year that we're in, I want to ask you to know, what's your involvement now within sport, and not just netball? How are you still involved in sport today? So
with regards to involvement in sports, netball is my main focus. So with other sports, it's a matter of I enjoy watching them. I enjoy, whether it's on TV, whether it's going to the stadium, my soccer, my rugby, but there isn't a deeper involvement. But with netball, that's where, you know, I've grounded myself in a number of roles, because what I realize is that there's going to come a time whereby I can't play anymore. I don't only then want to be like, okay, then what else can I do?
Yeah.
So that's why over the years, I've done my umpiring accreditation, my coach's accreditation, my technical official accreditation, my selector's accreditation, and also I'm a player. So all these things I'm doing, like I'm doing all of them. It's just a circle between all these things. Yes, but I'm enjoying it so much. Because I feel like there's a time and place for everything. Like today, I went to play because it was my team that's playing. Tomorrow, you'll find that I need to go coach. The next day, they'll ask me to come umpire. Then the next day, they have trials, come as a selector. The next day, we have a tournament. We need technical officials to sit on the table, make sure the scores are correct, that the times are kept correct. So you see all these things.
And how do you balance all of them? How do you balance all of them? Because I do know there's different heads. How do you balance... when you're a player and you focus on playing without getting involved into how the umpires umpire in this game, because you are also an umpire?
I'll even go as far as to say, Likaya, it's because I've been in this game for a very long time. So for me now, whatever comes with netball comes naturally to me. If I know that now, listen, I'm here as an umpire, and then I'm here as an umpire, this is what I've come to do. If I'm now here as a player, you take that hat, you wear your player hat, you keep your mouth shut. Whatever the umpire says, you're just like, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. Take it in, because
as you move on,
you adapt. It's all about adapting, nothing else. Otherwise, I don't think I would have coped with all the... At some point, I would have felt overwhelmed, or I would have had cross links in things whereby now it's if I may put it like that. But because I've established that, okay, this, it works for me.
And Monks, in the... you did also mention that your responsibility within the Cape Town Federation, Cape Town Netball Federation, I want to make sure I'm saying it right. You did mention that you are the players' representative within there. What does that really entail?
So when you're the players' representative, as I've said, people always assume it's just for players' complaints or players' issues. But what I've tried to push to the players is that even compliments that you may have, even suggestions that you may have, you can just take it through me. And to make this easier, because Cape Town is a very large area, and we've got about 7 or 8 sub-districts. Under those sub-districts are number of teams. So I don't even know what the total is, but it's a lot. It's in the hundreds. So for me to be able to know what's happening in each sub-district, I'm the chairperson in Cape Town Netball Federation. Each sub-district has its own representative, whereby they are the ones that channel the information to me. So then that's how I get to know, okay, Kailicha, Philippi, Nyanga area, this is what's happening. Belleville, Parow, Durbanville area, this is what's happening. And then that's how I keep up to date as to what's going on. They feed me that information, and then I take it from there. And then when time allows, because my schedule does get a bit hectic sometimes, I will show face at, the different league games that they have, just to make sure that is everything okay. We're not just saying, guys, do your own leagues and then that's it. We also need to make sure that as the executive and we show up and they see our faces.
Bongs, I've got a question for you. You mentioned so many sub-districts under that report to you in terms of the teams and the player representatives. How do you balance that interaction of everybody and making sure that everybody does still feel that they can easily communicate with you?
What I've done is that I ensure that most netball events, I will be there, 90% of them. If I'm not there, you must know I'm out of town, or it's something that really is beyond my control. So that's the one thing I've ensured, that whatever netball activity there is, if it's done as Cape Town Netball Federation, you're going to see this face. If a sub-district invites me for something, you are going to see this face. Because recently, I think about a month ago, there was a sub-district in Kailicha. They reached out to me and they said, please come through. We even had the Western Cape Minister of Health, Unoma French Mbombo. She was there as well. What they were doing, it was focusing on girls and, contraceptives, HIV tests, these things that our parents don't want to talk about. Whereas we know that our teenage girls are doing things. So why not say, listen, these are the safe means, of doing things. So they were like, listen, if you can make it, please try. And I was like, guys, don't sugarcoat or try and someone saying I'm gonna be there, because it's something that's very important. And the fact that you guys reach out for me to be there. So that's what I always just make sure and do. There's no place too small or place too big that I don't feel like I can go in and show face. And it's not just about showing face, because also that's a bad thing to just say I was there for the sake of being there, participating, being there with the people. Because sometimes people will look at you and have a perception. I've had a number of people say to me, you know, when we used to see you, we used to think you are this person, but now that Siklala now we've changed. And it's one of those, you just like, you take it in.
And you're like, yeah,
and
sure.
Just like, yeah, sure. And you're just like, I'm happy that
it's changed.
And all of that. So yeah, that's basically what I try to do on my side.
I think talking to you more and more, you know, I'm starting to get the perception of superwoman, you know, because sport and your involvement in sport all comes after your primary job that you do. Because you've got your actual job, and then you then partake in your sport. Very similar to school, where we would attend the school and then go into work. But I want to ask you now, Indogba, now that you're working, how do you balance the work life and your sport?
It gets a lot, I won't lie, it gets a lot sometimes, especially because work can be demanding. And the fact that I know that Monday to Thursday, every day after work, there's some form of netball in my life. Like, I don't come straight home. It's only sometimes Fridays where I'll get off. It does get challenging, but it's what I've been doing all this time. So even when I was a student, when the books are not there, I was doing my netball. So it hasn't been like a major adjustment or a major shift from what I'm used to. It's just that now I'm working, I'm no longer a student, but my netball afterwards is actually still there.
Well, I think there's someone listening now and watching us who's probably thinking, you know, but I just simply can't balance. What strategy would you give someone who's trying to balance, whether it be their school career or work life, or their work with still partaking in sport?
They say find your passion and make it your job. I think there's something like that I show you. So with me in netball, as I've said, I don't know, it's something that's in me. It's something that I enjoy so much, and I did it for the longest time, as I said, on a volunteer basis, without even thinking that I would ever get paid for doing anything netball related. And for me, because it's something I loved, I made sure. So when I was in varsity, you'd find that people during exam season, test season, people would be like, no, I can't come to practice. You know your schedule of your exams. You know your schedule of your netball. For me, it was a matter of, I will never not go to netball because of I have an exam. Because I know how to set my life. That 2 hours that I'm at netball is for me to unwind. It's for me to clear my mind. To know that once I get back into my room, I take a shower. I know I've had my 2 hours of something that I truly love. It's now made my mind clear to say, okay, you're gonna pull an all-nighter. So it's just a matter of, I think, as well, find your passion, because then once you find your passion outside of maybe your job or your schoolwork, then it's easy, because it doesn't feel like a chore. It doesn't feel like you're being forced to do all these things and juggle and try to, you know, keep afloat, whereby you feel like you're actually drowning. So yeah.
Right, so we're going to move into your perspective of the sport of netball in our country.
Okay.
And the you know, I like the fact that you're also involved in netball. Firstly, in South Africa, is seen as a predominantly women's sport. But I believe you coach CPUT, Cape Peninsula University of Technology's men's team. And picking up in our conversation, you really enjoy the men's side of netball.
Absolutely.
You know, what would you say to people who are still sitting at home or listening in and are saying, no, man, netball, guys, is a women's sport?
Netball is not a women's sport. Netball is not. And netball, that thing of my netball is a non-contact sport. Yay! That's a thing of the age. I come home now bruised. When I play today, I'm sure tomorrow I'm going to see bruises and be like, where did I get this? And because I play action netball as well, our action netball is a mixed team. So we play ladies mixed with guys, and it's a lot.
Sure.
I would say netball is a men's sport. Men are faster.
Sure.
Men have more elevation. Men don't get tired quickly. So when we play with them, we are testing ourselves. We are pushing our own boundaries. So we absolutely love that now they are involved in the sport, and they're getting equal opportunities as much as we are. So there's a national ladies team, there's a national men's team.
Yeah.
They're actually traveling next month to New Zealand. So we've actually got some of our Cape Town players that have been selected in that team to represent the South Africa, like the men's national team. So this thing of netball is a women's sport now.
You know, now I really understood the netball is a contact sport after watching Fowler from Jamaica, and I was like, Jamaica's game plan in the World Cup was simple: straight to Fowler, bully everyone, shoot, and they did
because
well.
How do you defend with Fowler?
You can't.
How do you do that?
You can't.
Everyone is just waiting for her to announce she's retiring. Then we're like, yeah, this is our time.
Everybody
this is our chance.
But Bongs, I think, you know, when we look at, especially talking about the Netball World Cup, and you know, it got so many people involved. You know, so many people within the sport of netball got involved in that. And it was so amazing to see schools from different provinces making trips for their teams to come watching netball. And, you know, my question to you, if we're looking at our current state of netball, also considering what changes have been made leading up to the Netball World Cup, what is your perspective on the current state of netball in South Africa?
I'm loving where it is because I can already see where it's going.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love where it is because the development that's happened in the past few years has been absolutely amazing, to a point whereby people didn't even know we had a national team. People didn't know that we've actually got players that play in the national team but are contracted overseas.
Outside, yeah.
So now, building up to the World Cup, that was then the chance that we had to actually reach out to our fellow South Africans. You know, my brother, my cousin, my colleague. It gave me a chance to actually, and you know, it worked how it was. It worked. Every chance I got, I was just like schooling people on netball, schooling. Even if you didn't ask me, I meet you in the passage.
You're watching.
And I'm putting up a netball post. I will be like, do you know this player? Let me tell you a fun fact. So I love where it is because now we've even got the Telkom Netball League, which is like a semi-professional.
Yeah.
So the fact that we've got something semi-professional, in the next couple of years, the semi is going to drop and we're going to have a professional league.
Yeah.
So we're heading towards the right direction. And as I've said, luckily with Netball South Africa, they're not just focusing on the ladies. They're making sure that the ladies and the men are getting the best opportunities, like equal opportunities, just to head to a state where the other nations, like the top performing nations, because they play netball for a living. And at the moment in our country, we can't do that. But because of this semi-league, I have so much hope that in the next couple of years, we're definitely going to be doing big things.
Bongs, also just, you mentioned that you're very excited to see where it's going because you can already put two and two together.
Yes.
Born about where's the sport of netball going. I'm going to put you on the spot. Where do you see the sport going? Give me, you know, in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years, what do you see happening within the sport of netball in South Africa?
Let's go with 5 years because at least
Sure.
that's a bit longer, just for me to be a bit safe. I do believe we're going to have a professional league in the country, and it's going to be a professional league for the ladies and for the men. And once we establish a professional league whereby players are getting paid, it means that now even umpires are going to get a chance to be contracted in. Maybe or possibly even have to quit their main jobs and focus on this. It means that technical officials, it means that selectors are going to get more jobs. So I see it as job creation for our players, but also job creations for the people along the court side and also in the background. So I'm gonna stop at that because I'm manifesting all these things as well.
It's coming to me. You're already wearing so many hats. So one of those hats definitely is coming full time when that transpires.
When that happens, I'm ready.
Yeah?
I know I'm absolutely ready. And I think the other thing that people maybe tend to mistake is that you must have studied sports in order to have a career. I wanted to study sports. My parents were like, no. I was accepted for sports at NNMU, and my mom and dad were just like, no, what are you going to do when you've graduated? Who do you know that you know? And I was just like, at that point, I was like, okay, you know what? Let me take, you know how our parents are. So I was like, let me take my second choice, which was biomedical technology. But because I knew I loved sport, I still did it on the side. And the things that I've accomplished and achieved over the past couple of years are things that even if I had my degree, maybe they would have made them a bit more. But I mean, I feel like I've achieved a lot for someone who's not even full-time in the industry. Yes.
And I think once again, this one we're gonna put you on the spotlight again.
You hate me. You hate me.
You do say that you see the sport going fully professional, where there's a professional league for men and women.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, Bongs, considering where we are today within the sport of netball, and where you see us going, what do you think needs to happen in order for us to ensure that in 5 years' time we are really having that?
We need sponsors to jump on board.
Sure.
And of course, sponsors can't jump on board if we don't show them that, there's enough support from the population of South Africa. So if supporters can see that once we maybe host the national team at let's say a venue in Pretoria or a venue in Cape Town, that people come out in their numbers to support, then they can see that this is actually a sport that has a large following. But if we can't rally our own people to say, listen, show these big sponsors that netball is a big sport, then of course we're not going to get to where we're supposed to be. Because look at rugby. Rugby is insane.
Yeah.
Rugby is insane at club level. Let's not mention, your Curry Cups and your URC. I'm even like club rugby in, let's say if it was Cape Town region, you'll find that maybe if you go to Belhar and check out a game, it's insane. Packed. It's packed. And so it's easy for sponsors to say, listen, I'm jumping in. So I think as netball, we also need to just work on that, just to make sure that they see that netball is huge and netball will have a following. We just need that little injection to make it happen.
You do mention, that for in netball, you see it in 5 years' time having fully professional teams, leagues for both men and women. And you believe in Ogbana, for us to get to that point in time, we do need sponsors to get on board. But you also mentioned a critical point of, to get those sponsors on board, we need the public of South Africa actually supporting the sporting code and showing up for netball. If you are to look into the camera and speak to the rest of South Africa, what would you say to them to get them out onto the netball fields?
So I think with netball, because it's my love, it's my passion, it's easy for me it makes sense for me to say, listen, there's a game. Of course I'm going to come through. But now we have a team, a ladies team that's doing exceptionally well, Likaya. These are ladies that are ranked 6th in the world. And we know that our other sporting codes, we don't rank top 10 or anything. We're not going to mention names. But I mean, these are girls that have full-time jobs. But with their full-time jobs, they manage on an international stage to be ranked 6th in the world. So to encourage those girls and to encourage the young girls that are wanting to be in that space, make it great. Give them fair opportunities. Give them all the resources that they could possibly need in order to be the best that they can be. Because when we come up against Australia, which is number 1 in the world, when we come up against New Zealand, which is number 2 in the world, those are people that play netball for a living. That's all they do. They wake up Monday to Monday, they play netball. I'm making an example, I'm a dietitian, I'm doing my job, and then I have to say, boss, please give me leave, man. I need to go represent my country. I need, such things. It makes a major difference. So I think to the big sponsors out there, I'm appealing to you, please do come on board. Please come support our girls. They really do perform and they really give their heart every single time they step out on court.
Bongs, guys, that is the player representative of Cape Town Netball Federation. Do join in and support the ladies, please, because they've really done so well, not only at the World Cup the first World Cup on African soil, but in general, if you look back at our women's netball, we've always been within the top 5, top 6 range.
Always, and then we're number 1 in Africa. We've never dropped it consistently. And then
there's other sporting codes that, we're not there. But Bongs, coming back to your role, Kengoku, of being an executive member, within a federation, being a technical officer, I'm not going to say it's an officer, a technical official, being a coach, that is what we would term collectively as being a sports administrator. And there are a lot of people out there who, when we say sports administrator, it gives people heart palpitations, especially sports management students. I want to ask you, what are some of the challenges now that you've faced in general, across all spectrums, and across all the hats that you wear? What are some of the challenges that you faced as a sports administrator?
I think some of the challenges, or the main one that I usually face, is working with people that don't share the same level of passion that I do. So they will do things halfway, and they'll do things with 30% energy, whereby with me, I need to be in fully. I need to make sure that if we're given a task to do, or we're planning a tournament, the players that are going to be participating must get the best experience. So in terms of leading to the practices, making sure that they've got the courts, they've got coaches, they've got good umpires. So now when you work with people, that some people are taking posts for the fact that they want a title. I want to be that person that is on the executive. I want to be known that I sit with you. Did understand? Yeah. But now when it comes to maybe doing your duties, people might not do what they're supposed to do. So just on different netball platforms, it's just, I think for me, one of the challenges is maybe working with people that don't share the same end goal that I do. And then also people juggle a lot sometimes. Yeah. People juggle. I also am one of those people. I juggle a lot, but I try to balance and make sure that, because I know that if I drop the ball, someone or some people are going to suffer or are not going to, get what they're supposed to. So I think those are also some of the challenges whereby we just take on a lot because we still volunteer. We're executive members that are on a volunteer basis. Not once, because I'm serving now my second term being in the executive, not once have I ever had money come here or money come into my bank balance. So it's all a volunteer basis. So now it's a matter of, okay, you're doing this voluntarily, but are you really just gonna give it your all, or are you gonna sometimes put it on our face that, listen, we're doing this, we're not getting paid anyway, so guys, why must we, So I think for me, those are the challenges that in the past few years I've had encounters with. But I look the other way. I do what I'm supposed to do, and if I can do your bit as well, I will do it without overstepping on anything like that.
I think going back to the challenge of interacting with people that don't share the same passion, that can be very frustrating, especially coming into a space where you're seeing so much potential of growth and developing something special. But when you look around, Bandu are just there to say, you know what, I'm just ticking a box here. I'm just here for the title. Give me the least amount of work, I'll be fine. How do you deal with that, especially within your leadership roles that you hold? How do you address such things, and how do you deal with them? How do you work with those challenges?
I think for me, I focus on what I need to do. Because I think my passion for me is the players, making sure that all the players are sorted. What problem do you have? Where can I assist? What can I do? And I also tend to gravitate towards the people that I see are actually working towards the same things. Yeah. Because if you focus on those people that are not really working towards the same direction, then you lose sight of whatever that you guys are, because your energies are focused on, Likaya, I said let's do A, B, and C. Why? Whereas if I can see that, listen, there's people, that's my favorite saying, like in all aspects of life, even in my family relationships, whereby I see that, guys, we're planning this, you're not coming on board, okay, and that's literally how I cope with everything.
And, now coming back into, again, your role within the Cape Town Netball Federation, when you look at it now, especially after your second term, what do you believe are some of your greatest feats or achievements within the role of being, the player representative?
So the other thing that I need to mention is that historically they never used to be my portfolio. So when the portfolio was created or was adapted, because it's something we were meant to have, but it's never been there. So the time that it was like officially added into the constitution and it was adopted and everyone accepted, I walked into that role. Not walked as in literally walked, but like I was nominated, I was voted in and so forth, but I'm the person that started it all. And the term lasts 4 years now. This is my second term. So you can already see how many years.
8 years.
I'm heading towards 8 years now in this role. So
That's a great student.
So initially when I got in and I was like, you know what, I'm going to do what I can, bounce, next person comes in. Now the term ended and people were like, Sissy, we want you back. And And I was like, okay, let me accept the nominations, because I know it's not only me, there were various other people that were nominated. I was like, it's fine, I accept the nomination, but I mean, at this point, I've served my time. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
And then I got successful again for the second time. So for me, it was like a matter of, oh, okay, now I need to like step it up from whatever I've been doing like the past couple of years or whatnot. So it's a huge thing when I Kaya, because you don't place yourself there, you are placed by people. So there's always that pressure of, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Are you stepping up? Are you making a difference? Because for me, that's basically the only thing that I want to do. I've been privileged. I mean, even I dare to say I've been privileged in my life. My parents made sure that all my wants,
you work for,
but it needs, I always got. Then they wants they were like, okay. But I mean, I didn't grow up doing a taking. I didn't grow up goes to, okay, you need to go to a school tour, and my parents would be like, yo, I'm my child. I went to the school tours, I did all those things. If I needed a new netball skirt, I had that. So now in the role that I'm in, I'm seeing a lot of heartbreaking stories. I'm seeing a lot of heartbreaking things. For me, where I can assist, I will always assist. And even when I've stepped out of the role, I'm still going to be very much involved in all of the, the giving back.
You mentioned, that you would love to continue within the role even after your time with, your elected time does come to pass. Why is that? What are some of the projects that drive you to want to stay within the role?
So, as I've said, we look at girls whereby it's not easy for them just to get to a simple netball practice. It's not easy for them to just get to a simple netball match. There's GPV at home. They don't have sanitary pads to wear to come to practice. They don't have money to come to the practices. They don't have money to buy tackies. Such things as that. So I may think by being involved in a structure like Cape Town Netball Federation, we sometimes don't want to involve ourselves so much, because sometimes you can be helping, but at the same time it's to your detriment. So my plan is that even, I've spoken to my brother about this, I've spoken about an NGO that I would love to establish, whereby if it would be established, I would even quit my full-time job, because this is something that I would be doing full-time. All my energy would be focused on that, whereby the little girl or the girl that has no hope of I will ever achieve this, the girl that says I don't even have 5 rand to feed myself, where am I going to get money to make to get transport to get to practice? So those are the things that projects that I would love to work on, that at the moment in my role I can only do so much, but once I get that free but like English can go free reign, freedom, then I can do so much more, because now it's going to be on a personal capacity. Then I can reach out to certain people just to make sure that there's certain things that are set up for all these girls, especially for someone like me who comes from the Eastern Cape. I'm privileged. I'm in Cape Town. Everything is here. Whatever you want, you just do this and it's here. But when I go home, even to up on Sokakwa there is no netball courts. You'll find that no, there's netball at that school, but when you hear or you look at the facilities or you hear about the structure of the coaching sessions, it's just a teacher that has a whistle that maybe loves netball or played netball back in the days. Now they were like, okay, teachers, ban, just take the children. And then these kids are the ones that don't even make it to border level. Border level, it's the same schools, the same faces, because those people have the resources. So long story short, watch the space. Next couple of years, there's definitely going to be an NGO, NPO, and that's somewhere registered under my name.
That's going to be doing that work.
Definitely.
And so, if you're saying in the next few years there's an NGO, does that mean to create 3?
Never that.
Grade 3,
no, it would give Zimbabwe, it would give Robert Mugabe.
So you are going to somewhat.
I need after this term. It's a decision I had taken a long time ago. I feel like I need to step back. I need to give someone else a chance to do the role that I've been doing. I can't believe that I'm the only one who's capable of doing what. Because I also started out being small in the role, and then I worked my way up. There's definitely players that we've already identified where we see there's leadership. They're not doing things just because I'm an 18 player. We're playing for Western Province. they have a passion behind the things that they're doing. They're reliable. They are always there for their teammates. So those are the sort of people that we need to work with. So I'm definitely stepping down after my term ends. I think I've still got 2 years now though. Once it ends, that's it, I'm done. But it's not to say I'm stepping away completely from Cape Town Netball Federation. It could be that maybe I'm going to go into another portfolio. But even if I don't go into another role, I'm still going to be involved with them as much as possible. And where I can assist, I'll always assist.
And Bongs, okay, so you'll still be involved in netball. And I truly believe you when you say that, because I don't see you stepping away.
Never that.
Because when you give the vibe, you know, but even with a moon boot, you will be there.
I'll be there.
You will be there.
I was there with a leg cast. Yes, guys. 2015, I went for a knee op because of netball, obviously. Same day in hospital, I fell, I broke my leg. Right where the operation is. Cracked the bone. So I had like a long leg cast. And then I remember, I was like, okay, I've been here with this cast. I'm indoors the whole time. And then my team, because I was still a student at CPUT, they had a game. I remember crutches, because my brother was at work with my sister-in-law. I was staying with them at the time, and I was like, I'm going to this game. Took the money, I took my purse, and I was like there with my crutches. The people in the taxi were like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going just here in Belleville, man. Like, a taxi driver, because the food driver was, he didn't even drop me there, Shem. They literally went in a bit. And everyone was just making sure that this little child just gets out. And I was just like, thank you. Like, for me, netball is right up there. And when I walked on court, when my teammates saw me, they were so happy. But at the same time, they were like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing here? So it's for me, those are some of the stories that I laugh about now. Because I'm just like, actually, this netball, I've been hypnotized. But I wouldn't have it any other way, honestly.
Yeah. So I think when the Netball World Cup comes around in 2023, that must have been such a refreshing moment for you, having been involved in the sport for so long and having sacrificed so much to just stay and play because you love the game. And the World Cup comes around, you don't just get to be a spectator. You get the opportunity to actually volunteer at the World Cup. Talk us through that experience. Firstly, how did you get involved? And secondly, how did that experience make you feel?
The World Cup was incredible. Like, to think it was just nearly 2 months ago. And I'm still, like, if you go to my social media, I haven't posted a single picture or video from the World Cup, because I still sit in my room and I'm like, oh my goodness, did this really happen? So I'm still in that moment. I think once the Pumekla moment of, did this really happen? Then I can be like, you know what, guys, this is me with the netball superstars. This is me, you know, with the big shots. But I knew the moment they announced 4 years ago, because the announcement happened in City ICC 2019, whereby the president of International Netball flew in with her delegates and everything. And I also attended at that time. And they announced that, you know, Cape Town is going to host in 4 years' time. Right then I knew that whatever happens, I'm going to be there. If I've moved out of Cape Town, in that month of August, I'm going to be in Cape Town. So fortunately, I'm still around, still staying in Cape Town. There was a volunteer process where you had to apply. I did the application, then you had to do an interview. Did my interviews, they were like, listen, we already heard a lot about you. Like, my interview was that. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this.
It was a tick box exercise.
Because I switched on my mic, I was like, hey everyone, I didn't know a single person. They were like, Bongi Mbayeka. I was like, yeah. They're like, no, we heard about you. You do this, right? And I was like, yes. They're like, no, it's fine. Welcome on board. Because the thing is, interviews, it was hundreds and thousands of people. So it was a matter of, when you are free, you join the line. It was like a Zoom thing. So it's like you're waiting for them to open for you. Yes.
Okay, so you're waiting to be accepted.
Basically. So that's what they were doing the whole day. So I think for the people that they had a folder for, it was easy just to say, listen, oh, Likaya, we know you, we've heard about you.
We just wanted to see you show up.
So for me, it was one of those, I was like, oh, okay, is that it? Because I had prepared, and my hair, I was like...
So your interview, when I was all the years leading up and building your name within netball, doing everything, volunteering and sharing out your passion for the sport, that was essentially your interview process.
Basically, because clearly the people, the higher up people were saying good things about me, to say, listen, we want her on board. Like, whatever happens in the interview, whatever you guys want to do, but we want this girl. So that's how it happened. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be a volunteer. Wherever you want me, guys, I'm flexi, as long as I'm there. Now comes a random Sunday. I was with my CPUT male team because I organized like friendly matches for them. I'm there on court. I get a call, and I look, and I'm just like, I don't know this number, but something was like, not answer. I'm like, hello, how are you? Then the person keeps quiet. Naturally, I keep quiet as well because that's what I do.
Okay.
Because I feel like you need to get to the point. Who are you? Then the person says, Bongi, it's Cecilia. And I'm like, sorry, who? She's like, it's Cecilia speaking. Then it hit me. I'm like, this is the Netball South Africa president on the line. Now suddenly I have a posture. I'm like, yes, mama. Because now I'm just like, she's like, I want you to MC at the World Cup. I'm like, I must do what at where? She's like, I want you to MC at the World Cup. That's when I kept quiet because I couldn't comprehend what she was saying. She had to ask Bongi, are you there? I said yes. She's like, are you ready? I'm like, ready for what? Like at that point, I didn't know what was going on with her. But like, end of the conversation, she was like, I want you on board. I've seen your work. I've worked with you. And you're one of the people that personally, because there were 4 of us, 4 MCs, and she personally called all 4 of us. And then by the time we got together, I was just like, okay, these are TV people. These are people who do MC for a living. These are people who get paid to do this. Come this little girl who's in the health industry who got called up by Mama Cecilia to come and MC. I felt small, I won't lie, but I worked with amazing people. They made sure that, listen, the 4 of us are here because we're all deserving, so we'll just make it work, and we absolutely did.
You must share that number. It's fine. You don't have to. Mama, she's not going to share. She's not going to share. Before me, I can Mama phone. But now it's like But Bongs, you get that opportunity now to then be an MC because then in the city, she was at the Netball World Cup. They caught sight. She was caught sight because the photos like you were literally with the players and there. You know, for someone who's been involved in the game for so long, what does that moment then feel like when you are there, courtside at the first Netball World Cup on African soil?
For me, I felt like it was the reward for everything I've done over the past, not even few years, for the past over 10 years that I've been involved in netball. For me, I've achieved a lot in netball, coming up, but for me, that was the greatest moment that I could have had. So it was absolutely amazing, and as I've said, it still feels surreal to me, like it didn't happen. I still can't believe I was walking on the same court that all these amazing players also walked on. So it meant absolutely everything to me, and I'll forever take that week. Like that week is the highlight of my life so far. Yeah. So, I love the fact that you say for you, someone who's been involved in the sport for so long, that has been the highlight of your life. There were young kids. I had a relative who traveled from King Williamstown, part of the netball team Yeskolo Sake, come watch the Netball World Cup as the first team Yeskolo Sabo. What do you think this World Cup meant for the kids, involved in netball and just the netball community? So I think I'll always bring it back. I'm so sorry for doing that. I'll always bring it back more to the underprivileged kids. Because for me, it's easy for the Model C schools to say, listen guys, we're having a trip to Cape Town, let's put money together, let's fly, let's make it happen. But when I saw that local ward councillors or local ministers of the Western Cape made sure that those schools from Elokshili and stuff like that got tickets, when I saw those kids sitting there, and I know that this is not from a Model C school, this is a child who in their lifetime would have never ever even come close to watching a netball game live. When I saw them in the crowd, for me it filled my heart with joy, because there were times whereby we would get volunteers, and I used to ensure that if those kids are in the crowd, I will go and get 1 or 2 of them to be part of this spectacular event. And you would see their eyes when you walk with them onto the court, and then there's fans from all over that are just sitting watching these children participate in game activities and netball activities and win their prizes, and they just light up. Or if while they're doing these challenges, you'll find that maybe the teams are still here, and they look at the Bongi Msomis, they look at the Pumzamawenis, the Lenise Bothitas, and you can see that they taking the moment in. So for me, that was absolutely amazing to see.
Yeah. You know, the Netball World Cup coincided with the taxi strike in Cape Town. And there was a picture that I came across where kukono taxi blocking off the road and kids not allowing anyone to go through to travel. And there were kids fully dressed in school uniform. But they had come to the taxis, but they now can't get to school. But these kids were playing in netball. Literally, it's what takes us and that for me spoke volumes about the impact of the World Cup on South Africa as a whole. You know, knowing that we don't need to switch on TV to watch a netball game, but if you just in the vicinity, like the vibe in the country was all netball, and that was so amazing. And my question for you, Bongs, is how do we build on that? How do we build on such a spectacular event going forward to ensure that there's the Telkom Netball World Cup, Telkom Netball League. How do we ensure that people are as interested in the Telkom Netball League as they were with the World Cup?
So I think the hype that was created for the World Cup, I mean, it was fitting because it is the World Cup. But now if we can just maintain the media that was used, just making sure that netball is on everyone's lips, that making sure netball on our social platforms, it's out there, making sure that you host big tournaments. People must always know that there's things happening with netball. So just because now the World Cup is done and everyone has gone back to their respective countries doesn't mean that now we should be quiet with netball. People should know that outside of the World Cup, there are still leagues that happen within the country. There are still tournaments that happen. 3 weeks back or 2 weeks back, it was actually the Nationals, do you understand? Whereby as Cape Town Netball Federation, we send some of our teams to go participate there. And that's a big tournament, because that's where we channel our players from, and we get our squad who will most likely be the next Protea players. So there's such big tournaments that happen in the country. It's not just the World Cup that we should be focusing on. And now that we've hosted, we know that it's not going to come to us for a very long time. So now while it's in the other countries, they're hosting, what are we doing in our country just to make sure? So it's just a matter of just hosting more and more netball events and just making sure that it's always on people's minds, on people's socials, on people's lips, and so forth.
Netball World Cup was special, no doubt. I think as a general sporting person who loves all sporting codes, I felt that it was special. For people involved in netball, it was probably a dream come true.
Absolutely.
I want to put you on the spot. It's a full week. You're involved in the spectacular world-class tournament for a full week.
Yeah.
What is that one game that stood out for you? Because I know I've got mine, but what's the one for you?
Obvious.
Sure.
It's the one where South Africa was playing New Zealand.
Yes.
And of course, New Zealand were the defending champions.
Yes.
They won the last World Cup in 2019. So now we played against New Zealand and we drew against the world champions.
At the buzzer.
I was there. There was a point where I thought I was having a stroke because my body couldn't comprehend what was going on. You know, when that Pumza made that last intercept and we had like a few seconds left, my body malfunctioned. It's luckily I've got it on recording. Otherwise, I would not have believed that I was in the arena witnessing that. These people were like a few meters away from me.
Sure.
And consider a few, I don't mean there.
Like,
these people were here in front of me. All of this was happening in front of my eyes. So for me, that will forever be the game for the World Cup of 2023.
And then if I put you on the spot again, I'm sorry to do this. There's a spot, I'm always going to put you on it. But now, what's that one memory now that the World Cup has come and gone? What's that one memory that you will cherish from that event and that experience of volunteering there?
I think for me, now it's going to come to me personally and not just experiencing the event and seeing the celebrities and seeing my favorite netball players and rubbing shoulders with President Ramaphosa. It's not that. For me, it was seeing that I can do things on an international platform. because I've never thought of myself as an MC, and I still don't think of myself as an MC. It's just that in Cape Town, we'll have netball events, but because they know I'm this person, they'll just give me the mic and be like, listen, just talk and make people entertained, and just tell them this is our next speaker. And for me, it didn't seem like a thing until it became a thing. So once in a while, they put a title to say you're going to be the MC. I sweated. I sweated. My English bundles were gone, and I was just like, what are they asking me? And as I've said, I walked in there and saw people that do this for a living, people that are presenters on TV and stuff, and that are in the entertainment industry. But what stood out for me is the fact that I was able to be on the level that they were on. So basically, that's it.
And would you ever consider that element of sport, like the being an MC, broadcasting the sport, as something you would take on?
Absolutely. I would love to, like, even commentary, I would love to do that. Even presenting, I would love to do that. I've got a friend of mine, she recently got a job at Supersport. So she came down from Joburg for the World Cup. She now is in France for that World Cup. I said, my friend, plug me, put me in. Where do I send my video? Just drop it on your boss's decks, you know, such things.
Don't worry, Rendani, you listening, ne?
Please.
Congratulations, but proper signing here.
So no, definitely I would love to do that, because I'm watching the girls that are killing it, or Simi, or Lomdana, or Mampo, or Nontle, that are killing it on TV, or Andy Mahamba, or Andy is, you know, and I look at them and I'm like, listen, these are people that also used to be netball players, and now they just doing it full time, and they're just giving us netball, and they do it so well.
I think now let's bring it back. Once again, we're going back into a lot of reflections here. But, you know, when you look back now at all the experiences, including, you know, moving from Etujo to East London, to the Netball World Cup, and, you know, what it meant for you. When you reflect on your journey, you know, how would you best summarize it yourself?
Joe, I think it's just for me making sure that the passion that I have lasts me a lifetime. Life is difficult, guys. We know we always have challenges, but if you find that one thing that makes your day, then focus on that. So in terms of my journey, there's like a number of people throughout the time I was at Dujo, and then I went to East London, and then I went to King Williamstown, and then I came to Cape Town. There's been like people that have played major roles in my life to ensure that I get the opportunities that I'm getting, have molded me to make sure that I believe that I can do it. I'm not a fantastic player. I've never been, but my passion for the game outweighs any other thing. Yes. So for me, it's one of those things whereby, listen, I'll get on court, I'll play, yes. But like I've got other things that I'm also doing on the side because I love this netball. So for me, all this love, I want to put it in all these things, different. So my journey with netball, I feel like it might not even have begun yet. Because we don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of years. I may feel like I've done so much, and then in the next couple of years I may be like, oh, I guess everything was just the beginning. This is actually where my journey is now. Starting.
So Bongs, netball and the passion for it is really something that has stood out for me in this conversation. You know, you're very passionate about in netball and sport, but passion is also something that really drives you as Umuntu. When we look at the netball, what impact would you say it's had on your personal growth?
It's tested me. Like the things I've achieved in netball are things maybe I never thought I would have. Are things that I may not have even tried, but because of the way people have put me in positions, in certain situations, in certain instances whereby I was just like, I can do this actually. Because I've never thought I'd be a person whereby I'd be a player's representative of Cape Town Netball. But people believed in me, they put me there. And that's really done good for me to say, listen, it's good that people recognize the work that you do. It's given me confidence. It's given me, it's built me as a person just to certain characteristics that I have now, and working with people and helping people, and just also knowing how to approach people, because people are not the same. You can't just use a blanket approach. So now I'm also wary of how I talk to certain people, because Ulikaya is different from Ubongi. So all those things, it's just character building, man, and I absolutely love it for me. Absolutely.
So much that I've literally learned from you within this interview that we've had and this conversation. And I think if I am to just reflect on this conversation, I think there's a saying in Nakendaiva growing up where people would say, you know, I think it was one of these motivational speakers that was saying, work hard so that you don't have to introduce yourself. And I think when we look at the story of you getting involved with the Netball World Cup, that's what came to mind for me, that you had built up and you had involved yourself so much and you had dedicated yourself to the sport that when the opportunity came, it wasn't a matter of where we already know this person. Your interview has been the work that you've done. And, you know, we've got the whole objective for this podcast is, number one, to have you share your story in your own words. And number two, you know, one thing I would love for people is if there's a child out there who can learn one thing from your story, that would be so amazing, you know. And I want to ask you, what piece of advice would you have for abantwana abancane, like young people who are literally just not even involved in sport, but in general about life and considering what you've gone through?
My advice would be, whatever you want, you can get. But it's not always going to come easy. Some people it comes easy, some people it doesn't. But whatever you want, it's literally all in your hands. It's very cliche, and whenever we say this to people, it's like, oh my goodness, not another, you believe in yourself, do it. But that's literally all it takes. You have to believe in yourself, you have to put in the work so that people can actually say, okay, this person, we've been seeing them, that they're doing A, B, and C. Now they're going to get rewarded somehow. And sometimes it's not even about you actively doing things to get reward, to get rewards. Because with me, I will gladly say this, I've never done anything because I want people to put me on a pedestal or to say this. I just do things because I enjoy doing them, and in the process, it's people that have been recognizing those things. It's like with work. Recently got a new promotion, and with that, it wasn't even a matter of me. I didn't apply for it. I was approached to say, listen, we've been watching you and how you work, and we feel like you would be the perfect person to go into this fit. So just keep your head down. That's the one thing. Also, humility is very important. Be humble. Do things because you want to do it for yourself, not because you want it to be a spectacle to other people. So keep your head down, do what you need to do, and the universe will reward you definitely.
Bongs, you did mention as well that from your time at Dujwa to you moving to Cape Town and essentially starting your own life in Cape Town, there's been people that have played significant roles in your life. And I think I do want to give you that opportunity to speak more to them. And if they were sitting here in this room with us today, you know, what would you say to them?
I think I would say thank you, and it's just that it's a woman in my life. My mom, my late mom. There's Miss Mbayeka, who used to be my netball coach in high school, the late Miss Mbayeka. And also the late Auntie Marsha. Auntie Marsha was the chairperson of Cape Town Netball Federation before the current chairperson now. So, and the fact that these are my three angels in heaven who did absolutely amazing things for me when they were still alive. And I feel every time, whenever I achieve anything, I always briefly look up because I feel like they're looking down on me. So I'd like to say to them, thank you, because the support that they gave me when they were still alive did tremendous for me. And to a point where even now, it's been a couple of years that they've passed on, but whenever something happens, you still feel that thing of, I wish I could. Then you remember that, you know what, but I know they'd be proud of me, and they made sure that I got all the opportunities. They gave me encouragement, and I'm absolutely blessed to have, had them in my life for the time that I did.
Looking at your story once again, getting a promotion at work, having not applied, your interview was essentially the work that you did before that. It's really testament to the dedication that you put in, the passion that you have for the things that you do in general. And in the brief time that we've had together, especially at work, the dedication, the way you're so dedicated to your work, you stay beyond hours. That's some of us, you know,
4 o'clock is 4 o'clock.
is 4 o'clock. We don't play around, but you know, seeing it from you, there are days where I'm like, man, I feel guilty. Let me just 4:05. Okay, sure. Hey, but 4:05, this girl's not leaving. And the thing is, some days now when you're on a 4 o'clock shift and you're leaving 4 o'clock, but I'm like, but things like that, you know, that we are learning from you so much from the things that you do. Your actions really do speak very loudly. And I think I want to touch on this piece. If you are now to look back, what is that greatest piece of advice that you've ever received? It doesn't have to be sport orientated, but what's that greatest piece of advice that you have received and have kept with you?
It would be from my mom. My mom was a very simple person. So you'll find that they stayed together, my mom and my dad, a principal and a teacher. So you know, Moses Lalin already, you are that family.
Yeah.
You know, but my mom was always saying to us, be humble, guys. Be humble, keep your head down. Doesn't matter what they have or what they don't have. As a result, Elalini, people have misconceptions about us until they bahlale nathi. Like we have imicimbi, and then they come and then they like, oh, you guys are sitting with us in the kitchen.
Why?
And I'm just like, where else would we sit? Like, you know, things like that. So for me, keep your head down, be humble, treat whatever profession, whatever they do, whatever they have or don't have, treat everyone the same. And you know, it's just worked for me because the different people that I've had interactions with and I've built relationships with is not based on a criteria that I'm looking at to say that that's because I have this, you must have this. It's just I get to meet a variety of different people. So yeah, that would be that.
And I'm going to put you on the spot. This one I'm going to ask that you write it down for us, after the show. But another part of this show, we are going to ask you to leave a question for the next guest that we'll have. We don't know who that who that will be. And also now I'm pretty sure you also don't know who it might be. But I'm going to ask you if you could just give us a question for them.
Okay.
And what piece of advice in closing? You know, what advice do you have for our listeners? Because it's definitely sports people that love the sport. And I want you to just give them any piece of advice that you would want to share with them. It can be sport related or life related.
All right, so no, the questions I think and then I'll write it down definitely for the next guest. But in terms of advice, work hard, guys. Work hard. Nothing worth having comes easy. When they say it, and it's really true. Work hard and just keep your focus. Sometimes your reward may come within 5 months. Sometimes it may come within 5 years. It's also important to remember why you are doing it. So if you are doing it for the glory, you are doing it for, as I said, to have people look at you, you be the spectacle, then it's definitely not gonna work. It's gonna break you because you are expecting things to happen. You are expecting this glory from people. Whereas if you're doing something because it's something that you love, you don't even feel like you're doing this. For the longest time, my family would be like, this netball broke your leg. But the first opportunity you had, you were back on court. This netball hasn't been paying you. You've been spending the money you don't have, taking taxis to this match, to go coach these kids, to do this. But like this was like a few years back now, because before I got established. And I'm like, guys, I love it. For me, I don't even feel like. And they're like, this netball is robbing you. I'm like, it must keep on robbing me. It's fine. I enjoy being robbed by netball. So just choose what you love, work hard at it, and do it because it's what you want to do. And as usual, keep your head down and just do what you need to do.
Bongs, thank you very much. Thank you very much for opening up. Thank you for sharing your story with us. You know, there's a lot of gems that I've picked up personally within this conversation, and I'm pretty sure everybody else has got a few things that they have picked up. You know, it's very rare where we get people willing to open themselves up and really share their true authentic stories. That's something that I really commend you for, and wishing you all of the best going forward. I do know that there's a lot on the horizon for you. Wishing you all of the best going forward. Really wishing you God's greatest blessings upon your life, and may you continue to be the star that shines in so many rooms.
The star. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me as well.
Thank you. And
oh yes.
it's coming to me.
Yeah,
it's coming. It's coming.
There's
It's
nothing.
coming.
There's nothing on this hand.
Ah, they see it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
No.
for the platform.
Thank you very much. Hey guys, thank you very much for watching yet another episode of the African Playbook Network. We really appreciate you taking your time to watch this episode. Please do share in the comments what you enjoyed about the episode, where you're listening to the episode from, and let us know anything that you want to share with us. Please make use of the comment section. If you really enjoyed the episode, don't forget to hit the like button. Let us know that you enjoyed the episode, and don't forget as well, if you haven't hit that subscription button or you haven't followed us, please do hit that button. We'd love to hear more from you guys. And don't forget, click on the link below and you'll find all of our social media pages. Hit follow, like, subscribe, do your thing.